I'm Max Lopez. This is the Blue Wave, as the death toll from Hurricane Helene unfortunately continues to mount, and Hurricane Milton is barreling in on Florida. Donald Trump's lies about the access to help that the federal government is providing continue to grow and be spread by bad actors in this country. And we're going to listen to the FEMA administrator explain exactly how these lies are affecting people's real world in these disaster-stricken areas. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the disaster that we could see here in Florida continue based on people's falling for misinformation that continues to spread around FEMA and how much access people are getting to help from the federal government. But before we do that, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics after you're done watching. It helps YouTube take my channel more seriously and get the word out to more and more people. So let's go ahead and check out this clip here from Mediaite of the FEMA administrator, Diane Criswell, speaking on CNN.
So we're into almost $300 billion for Ukraine, and yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But more importantly than that is they don't have the people. They're not doing it. It's a very bad thing.
How would you do it differently?
I'd have a tremendous team of people here. They don't have any people here. The people are all, I was in North Carolina yesterday. I was in Georgia. And Georgia's different. You have a good governor. He's doing a very good job. But North Carolina is a disaster. And it was also hit very hard. But they don't have the people. And they're complaining there's no people around to help.
Can you respond to that, Administrator?
Yeah, I mean, his accusations are just completely false. I think the first thing I would say is just because you don't see somebody on the ground in a FEMA shirt doesn't mean we don't have people there. We have people that are embedded in the State Emergency Operations Center. I have teams that are walking around neighborhoods. I have teams that are embedded with all of the county EOCs. People are on the ground, but we're also bringing in resources, and it's not just FEMA. We are one part of the federal family. We have over 3,400 members from across all federal agencies in North Carolina helping to support this response. We will continue to bring in more resources as we go into the recovery and the long-term needs that these communities have. Kate, we really have just got to stop this rhetoric, because what it's doing is it's putting fear in the people that we're not going to be there to help them. And I worry that they won't register for assistance with us and get access to the critical resources that they are eligible for.
Wow. So you heard it there. She says she worries that people are not going to apply for assistance if they believe that the assistance isn't there to go to them, right? So these lies surrounding the FEMA aid are quite literally killing people. They are going to continue to kill people as Hurricane Milton, as I said earlier, barrels in on Florida. And I watched this piece on PBS NewsHour where they were interviewing a disaster administration official in I think it was for FEMA. And what she was saying is that she was talking about the rumors that are spreading about the United States forcing people out of their homes by buying up their land, or forcing people to leave their disaster-stricken area and to go live somewhere else by forcing them to sell their land. And what she was saying is that those kinds of conspiracies, what they do is it in turn leads people to believe, that they shouldn't evacuate, right, a particular area, because let's say that you're about to be forecasted to be hit with a hurricane and the government tells you, hey, we have this data here that shows you're going to get hit the hardest here, leave now. If you're someone who's buying into the conspiracies that are spreading around the country right now in relation to the disaster aid, fueled by Donald Trump, the former president, you might be somebody who's going to say, no, I'm not gonna be forced out. I'm not gonna be forced to sell my house and sell my land, because I know what's going on here, and I know that the government is trying to yada yada yada, right? Leading someone to not evacuate. That could get somebody killed, a belief like that. Killed. When we know that in these disaster situations, time is of the essence, right? And 24 hours, 48 hours is a difference in living and dying in terms of how fast you make your decisions. So let's say that, you know, the damage has already been done in a certain way. And I'm glad that FEMA is rolling out a fact checker on their own website now. They have a whole section of their website dedicated to debunking conspiracies. And I'm glad that the media is starting to push back seemingly a little bit more, and that even Laura Ingraham there was, you know, pushing back on Trump's lies during a Fox News town hall, which was pretty remarkable to see. But the damage has already been done, right? Because of how much time is of the essence in many cases. And let's say someone makes a decision that they're not going to evacuate because they think that the government is going to try to buy up their land, and they don't think that there's an actual threat to their life from a natural disaster. And lo and behold, a few days later, they find out that is not true, right? But then you get hit by the hurricane. It's like it's too late at that point, right? There's no, because you didn't make the decision with the data that was being presented to you. You know, like, I'll put it this way: when you made that decision to not evacuate, you didn't have, or you weren't believing the right data. You were believing data that was leading you astray and is actually misinformation, right? And so you could come around days later and go, oh yeah, okay, the government's not lying about that. Too late, right? There's people right now in North Carolina that are not accessing the government assistance that is available for them there because they do not think it's there. They're hearing stuff like, oh, all people are getting is $750, when that is what's available for immediate assistance, right? For very immediate needs right now. That's not all people are getting that have had their homes completely destroyed or what have you, but someone very well could be led to believe that, distrust the government, distrust information that would otherwise be helping the community. And then it hampers the recovery effort, because people that are a part of the recovery effort, right, they're not getting the full support and the full trust of the community because they're being misinformed about how much aid is going there. So when we need all hands on deck, right, is right now. We need all hands on deck to assist people. We need all hands on deck from the media, from our leaders in this country, from Congress. We need all hands on deck from people in the communities that have been hit the hardest to work with the government to rebuild the area, right? But that only becomes more and more difficult when people are distrustful of the government and how effective it is in carrying out its capability to help people. We saw this with COVID-19 and how out of hand that got in this country, and and how Donald Trump's lack of leadership in the COVID-19 pandemic cost people their lives as well. And it really begs the question, is this who we want to be leading the country? Right? What about the next big disaster that's going to happen? What about the next global conflict that breaks out? Do we want Donald Trump at the helm of the decision making of our federal government? I certainly do not, based on what kind of leadership he's displayed when this country has been going through crises in the past, not limited to COVID-19, and now Hurricane Helene, and in the very coming, very near future here, Hurricane Milton hitting Florida. And, you know, I hope we can put these conspiracies behind us. I hope that anyone that's watching this video in a disaster affected area, please know the government is there to help you. Apply for help. The federal government of the United States is helping these communities rebuild, and aid is flowing in on a day-to-day basis. And the operation I'm sure will evolve and expand, and will take on different challenges as the recovery effort happens but this is going to be a years-long process, right? Especially for some of these areas in North Carolina, where the hurricane hit the hardest. Some of these communities are going to take years and years to rebuild, and some of these communities may never, in fact, be rebuilt. So people need to heed advice and heed information that's coming from reliable sources, such as FEMA, such as the federal government, and not heed Donald Trump's lies that are very quite literally getting people killed. And Donald Trump has blood on his hands when it comes to how he has totally misinformed the country about the aid that is available for victims of this terrible, terrible tragedy. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who's into politics. Helps you to take my channel more seriously, spread the word to more and more people. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, peace.